So I've received these questions a lot of times recently, that what is the difference between third entity's attachment and the physical or mental tiredness? So how can you differentiate the third entity attachment to the tiredness and the burden, or the frustration or the stress that your body feels through on mental levels and physical levels? So there's one way that you can recognize the difference between these two is that when there is a third entity attached to your body, you'll rather feel uncomfortable in your shoulders and your head chakra. These are the two chakras, also the throat chakra actually. These are the three chakras where you start feeling very heavy throughout the day, not just for a few hours, but throughout the day, as long as the entity is attached to you. So this is how you recognize it. Also, you start to feel mood swings, because the mood swings comes because they're not on the physical part of the mood swings, but they are actually you're feeling the energies that is being sent out by the third entity that is attached to your body. So the mood swings are very often during this time. All of a sudden, you'll start to you'll start to feel very heavy and negative, or sometimes you'll even start to feel very positive and happy. But those mood swings are not actually physical mood swings, or they're not connected to your emotionalities. Those mood swings are actually the feelings that you're feeling from the third entity. So that is how you recognize, and this is how you differentiate between you feeling something and, or on a physical and emotional part, and if it's the third entity that is attached to your body. So this is the best way to recognize if there's a very thin lining between these two things, but you'll get to know about it, because all of a sudden you do get mood swings. Being a lady, you would recognize that you get mood swings during the menstrual time. But other than that, when you get sudden sudden mood changes, and when you start feeling too heavy about it, that's when you need to recognize it's the third entity that is attached to you, and not the physicality of the state of your body at the time, basically. And I also get the question what third entities mean. Third entities are basically the earthbound spirits, I call them. So they are basically the spirit. It's after death, the souls. When the soul leaves the body, the physical form, it's the realm that they are in. They are the third entities. They are the earthbound spirits who haven't been able to move into the light to the next phase of their journey. So they are stuck in between worlds because of some kind of unfinished or undone or attached feelings that they've come across before death, right before death. So that is something what earthbound spirits or third entities mean.
I have just one question. Do these entities latch on to everyone, or they choose their host, or do they only come as a surge of energy to healers?
It actually depends, because throughout my experience in past few years, what I've experienced is that they try to get attached to any energy, any physical body that has a weaker aura. So they try to get attached to those kind of bodies to make them feel what they felt before death. Their intentions are never wrong, but what the outcome that it gives at the end of the day, it turns out to be a little dark in a physical form. So I'll give you a small example as to, I had a client. I'm not allowed to say the name of the person, so I'll keep that confidential. But I had a client, and all of a sudden, the client had when he took the picture, he had a black face, whereas the rest of the body was the normal color. So he got scared. He sent me a picture stating he didn't know what was happening around him, and he was in a very confused state. So at the time, I could actually recognize that there was there was a spirit attached to the soul, who was giving out, and who was trying to communicate with the person. Of course, not everyone can communicate with the spirits, but spirits do try to communicate with every physical form, because they need a mediator to communicate with. So while I could see the spirit, all of a sudden the spirit could also see me, and the very next moment I could recognize the spirit in, right beside me. And I was actually, I had the cup of tea in my hand, and all of a sudden the spirit had such energies that it broke the cup and spilled that hot tea onto my lap, giving me a feeling as to how he felt before he died, because he was burnt alive. So that was the outcome on a physical form on me. It tried to make me feel what it was. Its intention weren't dark, but what happened to me was. So it's not that they're dark spirits, so they're not, they are, they're darker energy. It's not like that. It's just that they're trying to find someone to communicate with, a mediator, which some healers are. And it's easier for them to connect to the to intervene somebody's weaker aura, because that helps them try to communicate with them. So that's, this is how they show their presence to somebody, though the person doesn't understand what's happening with them, because not everyone understands this theory. But eventually it comes to the healers like us, and we help them move into the light. So over a period of time, I could see and I could communicate with it, and I could see that it had moved on into the light. So it really depends.
What makes a human have a weaker aura, as you were specifying?
There are a lot of factors that create that, imbalances your aura and makes it weaker. The very first cause is the fear. In today's world, everyone is going through some sort of fear, either financial stress that causes fear, or the loss of relationship that causes fear. So there's always fear. And again, at this point where there's, COVID, in this COVID times, people are always afraid. They're constantly in fear, eventually weakening their aura, and eventually losing their immunity as well on a physical level. So fear, I think, is the biggest cause for people to lose their immunity and weaken their aura, and also creates a lot of imbalance in the chakras eventually.
Wonderful. Thanks for all the explanation, and especially about the third entity. So people need not be that much scared of thinking that it is dark energies, and how in Hindi it's called bhoot and all those aspects. So these are energies which also need our help meaning the mediator's help. And if anyone has too much of mood swings, if a psychologist or a mental health professional or any kind of other alternative healers cannot help, a mediumship can help probably for certain clients, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sweta Desai.